All right, good morning, everybody. I was wondering for a minute why people are all late today. We looked at the third week things where we were basically trying to master Photoshop selection tools, right? Remember the stuff we were using here? The straightforward, rectangular, and elliptical. Then we also looked at the magic wand and the quick selection. And then from here, we also looked at the magnetic lasso tool. So those are the things we learned last time. And with that, we were able to select various very advanced objects on the screen. And then we also looked at how to create something completely using Photoshop. Of that, we made a rock wall, yeah, a stone wall. We just started drawing circles, and then from there we developed it into a very realistically looking stone wall. So today we are going to bring in another tutorial. Now all these files which you see here on the left hand side are available in your zip file called lesson 4. There are 4 files actually: end, start, beach, and family photo. So I'm looking at the end result of our exercise today. Now this is the beginning, start. So you notice there are multiple layers of objects here, right? So on the top we have something called the postage, which is a stamp here. Then we have Hawaii, this text here. Then we have a red flower here. Then we have a pineapple, and then the background, right? So we have 4 objects here. Then here you notice the same objects are there. It's just that we applied various styles to it. There's some text as well. You notice this hazard sign. That means this font is not in my computer, right? So that's okay. We can use a similar font if it is not available. That's all right. And then you also notice there's a cloud here, so which we don't sort of have. We are going to create a cloud from nothing. Okay, so Photoshop allows you to create clouds very easily. And so with that in our final project, let's see how we are going to create this now. Right, so let's look at the components that we have here at the start, and then try to compare that with the completed one. So you notice we have a Hawaii text here with some sort of a color gradient. There is orange at the bottom, the white on the top. There is also some green border going around. If you notice, there's also some sort of drop shadow there. So if you notice the same thing here, we have a very flat white text, isn't it? So this is what we are getting, and this is the input, and this is going to be the output of the text. Similarly, this island paradise is something that we have typed, which is not available in the start. So it's typed in green color. There is also a black drop shadow there. If you look at the stamp, it's very black here, but here it's sort of semi-transparent, right? Now we know how to do that using layer opacity. Yeah, so that is one. Also, it's moved to the right hand side. So it's here, it's somewhere moved somewhere down here. Also, talking of the flower, right? Now again, you see there is some drop shadow in the flower. So we don't have it, it's a flat flower here. So there's some drop shadow, right? And we notice there are 2 pineapples here. Right? So if you turn off one, you notice the pineapple that you see has a overlay effect here, and when you turn on the other pineapple, right, you see it's very bright enough. Notice how the pineapple is very dull here. Okay, so this pineapple is sharp and rich in color. So they've done that using getting a copy of the pineapple and making that copy having an overlay effect. Right, that's it. So yeah, so that's what's been done now. Okay, so let's try to redo the same thing and see whether we can get the similar effect, because there are a lot of things we are going to learn in this. One is about how do you bring in things from the outside and then make it here. Oh, by the way, now if you notice the end result, there is another one which I turned off, the beach. Right, now there's a beach photograph which we don't have here. There is no beach here. But if you notice your folder, there is a beach photograph. So if I turn that on, or if I load that, you notice that's a photograph we have here. So now we have the start, some elements, 4 elements are there. Then we have beach, a separate photograph. So we need to now bring in this beach photograph into the postcard here, and also notice it has some white border and also some light drop shadow as such. Okay, so let me see whether I have turned on everything. Yeah, I have turned on everything. Okay, so this is like the final artwork. Okay, so let's see how we can do the same thing using this photograph here. So that is our lesson today. Also, at the end of it, we also, if time permits, we will also do another effect where we will try to correct a family photograph. Okay, trying to correct a family photograph, as in, okay, let me turn that on. When you take photographs, especially where there are lots of people in the photograph, one of the biggest issue is this. Now, look at the way people see things. Now, you notice these guys on the top, they're all looking at the camera. What about these kids here? They are looking somewhere else, right? Now, if you turn, now you notice there are 2 layers here, layer 1 and layer 2. If you turn off the top layer, you notice, oh, the kids are now looking at the camera. But then, how do you correct this photograph so that now here looks like this guy is sleeping here, right? He's sleeping in the previous photograph, right? This uncle, he's sleeping. And if you turn off, okay, now he's sort of awake. So how do you correct things like that? Now, actually, when you take photographs, you do something called burst photography, right? We use something called burst photography, where when you press the button, it takes more than one shot with an interval of a very short time span, like say half a second, maybe 250 milliseconds, stuff like that. So when we have multiple shots, then it's possible to do the corrections. If you have only one photograph, it's not possible. So we will see how to correct this photograph as well. Now, to do that, you need to now, you notice when I turn on and off, you see there is an alignment issue as well, right? And also lighting issue. Now, this one has a different exposure than this one, where it's all black here. So we don't want this photograph, although they're all looking at us, but we like the background of this one. So we'll see how we can correct the photograph as well. Okay, so let me go back to our original work here. So first of all, what you should do, you need to save this guy, right? Otherwise, we will lose all the work that we're doing. So preferably have your name and then you save it. Let me take that into a different view so that you will have a better resolution. Okay, I suppose this is much clearer now, yeah? Or is it? Okay. So I'm sharing the Photoshop view. So I hope this is more clear than before. So let's see, how do we start? So I'm going to turn off everything first. Okay, and only keep the pineapple. Remember, the pineapple has to look like this, a very bright pineapple. Now, what have we done? We have basically taken a copy of the pineapple and made the one on top as overlay. So that's what I'm going to do. So I can drag this and drop it here to make a copy. And I just go here and select overlay. Now see what happened? Okay, this is without it, a very dull pineapple, and here a bright pineapple. Okay, the pineapple is done now. That's it. That is all you need to do for the pineapple. What about the flower? Okay, so where is the flower now? The flower is somewhere. So flower is fine. Nothing to do with the flower. So I'll keep it off. Um, so the pineapple is ready. Flower looks okay, so I'll keep it as it is. The text, we need to do a bit of work there. Let's do the stamp now. Now notice at the end here, or the final work, the stamp is moved down here to the right hand side. So let's see, let's do the same thing. So go to the postage and use the move tool, and okay, so postage. I need to make sure that auto select is turned off up here, otherwise it will select whatever that I'm clicking. So it's somewhere here, and if you notice here, the stamp has a 25% opacity with a multiply effect, right? The multiply, what it does is it sort of allows us to see through whatever that is under it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll say multiply, right? So it allows us to see through, but it's very sort of bright. So I'm going to change the transparency, which is the opacity, to 25%, right? Yeah. So you can either click this, or you can just type 25 there. Right. So it's sort of semi-transparent. If you need more, you can go this way. If you need less, you can go this way. So I'll keep it around 25 and 7, something like that. Okay. Right. Then stamp is done. Flower is done. You notice this has this beach photograph, and we notice that is somewhere up here. How do I bring the beach from this photograph to what I'm doing here? So there are a couple of ways to do. This is the preferred way of doing it. So you go to Window and select Arrange. It will arrange all you know. Right now, if you notice, I have 3 windows. I have the completed one, work in progress, and the beach. So what I do is I go to Arrange and pick up whatever is more suitable for me. Let's say tile vertically. Now when I do that, it will align all this vertically. So don't worry if you can't see everything, because this is very temporary. So you just need to drag this and then close it off. So all I need to do is go to the beach photograph, click here with the move tool, and drag it to your work in progress PSD. So I click it and I drag, and when I drop it here, it comes to this photograph. You notice I have a copy now. So I can now close this because I don't need that. And now I don't need these 2 windows also. So I can say arrange, consolidate all to tabs. So I'm back to my original view. Okay, right. So here's the beach. So I can rename it as beach. All right. How does it look like? Well, it's not that big. I need to resize it, rotate it, and do some border and whatnot there. I had to do all that. So to resize, you notice we used this effect previously. It is a free transformation. Okay. When you select it, or you could click Control T, right? Control T is a shortcut. When you do that, you can now use these control points. So somewhere around this much, and you can, if you go to the corners, you can also rotate this, something like this, right? Is it above the flower or below the flower? It is below the flower. You see, it's below the flower. So now here, now it's above the flower. Now how do I do that? Well, it's about the layer arrangement. You just keep moving this layer like this. Put it under the flower. There you go. So it's something like this, isn't it? Yeah, something like that. Okay. So far, so good. But it still requires certain things like border and then drop shadows. I haven't applied any of the effects yet. So far, we've done with everything. Maybe we can now apply the border to the beach. So to do that, make sure you select the border layer here. And you can start adding a border now. So to do that, you go to the effects and say stroke. That will give us an outline around our object. Now see, it's already coming. It has given black. I need white. So make sure you select white. Okay, white is selected, and it's not enough. It's too small. So maybe I can do a dynamic changing from here, or you can type if you wish. Let's say 5 pixels. Fine, 5 pixels. While you're at it, now you notice I've applied stroke. You can also apply any other effect as well. So now I'm applying multiple effects. So here's the drop shadow. So that also you can see increase the size of the drop shadow. You can increase the spread of that. You can even change the distance of it. So I use it in a very slight way so that it looks like it's floating. Yeah, it's not like cut pasted something. So does it look like this? Okay, just that the photograph is too small maybe. So I can click Control T and make it a little large if I want to. There you are. Okay. Right, so beach photo is done. And pineapple is done. Postage is done. Let's do the same thing for the flower. So I need an effect. Basically, it's just a drop shadow effect. Am I okay with the default I'm getting? Yeah, I'm okay with it. Done. That is done as well. Okay. Let's look at making the sky. Right? I told you making the sky because it's created using Photoshop. Right? It's created. So to do that, you need to do a couple of things. Number one, you need to play with these colors, the foreground and the background colors. So you need some sort of a darker blue and maybe we call it a sky blue. You need some sort of a sky blue like this. And for the other one, you need maybe a lighter blue, right? Maybe something like this. All right. And of course, you need a new layer. So I am going to create a new layer here. And I'm going to call it clouds. Right? Now to see what is going on, let me turn off everything. Because I'm going to see the clouds now. I'll keep the stamp or maybe I can turn that also. Okay, now I have the clouds. Okay, step number one, select your blue colors. Step number two, make sure you have a separate layer. Otherwise, you don't know where it is applying the clouds. Now, go to the filter. And somewhere here you will notice render and then clouds. That's it. Now see what happens. There you go. That's your cloud. If you don't like it, like say you want more darker blue or more lighter blue, just change it here and go back and apply the same thing, right? Clouds. Right. So let's now bring back our objects. All right. So we have everything now. Okay. So what is remaining now is the Hawaii text. Now notice here our completed version has orange at the bottom and about, yeah, I suppose white on the top. So how do you apply this kind of gradient to our text here? Now hold on, this is not actually text, does it? There is no T here, so I can't double click and type anything because it's not text. It's actually text typed and then converted to some sort of outline image. So this is actually an image. It is not text. So in a situation like this, if you click on this with the control key, you use the control key and then you click here, right? You notice the selectors. Now what I have done here is basically I have selected this object, right? So once I select this object, I can do whatever I want with it. I can do anything I want with it. So now I go to a new tool that we didn't do previously. Okay, that is called the gradient tool. Now that's a bit of a tough tool sometimes for some people because there are lots of different things you need to worry, but not necessarily. Let's see. When I go to gradient tool, it gives me the gradient out of the colors I have already selected here. Now, if I want the exact orange, you can go here and use the eyedropper and then select that exact orange by going there and clicking. Now see, I got the same exact orange. Now this is white, so let's make sure it is white. So now if I come back to this object and click the gradient icon again, now see, I have the orange to white gradient now. And my Hawaii text is selected. Okay. So to apply that, I need to go somewhere, click first, and then drag that line like this. See, the line is coming. Now, the fact that I have a selection allows me to, or rather, it will fill the area I have selected already. So, just to show you what is going on, let me take my hand away from the mouse, and you see the gradient applied. Now, imagine I don't have the selection. So now, if I go and select and apply here, see, it's gone to the entire screen. I don't want that. So this is why I need to first select the outline of the area I'm planning to apply by clicking with the control key so that this area is selected and then I apply my gradient. Okay, if you don't like the gradient, you can go back and select some more. Okay, so is that what you see? Yeah, similar. So now I applied my Hawaii gradient as well. But hold on, there is some more I need to do. You see there is a drop shadow and also a green color outline. So I go back to that. I have not unselected it. Go to effects, stroke. I need to select green there. Okay, so white is what I selected previously. See, I need green. So some sort of yeah, something like this green. Okay, similar green, and also make sure that I also apply a drop shadow. Done. Right? So now you can click the Control D again, so your selector is gone. All right, now so far so good. I think we have everything we need except the bottom text, Island Paradise. Okay, so I told you there is an issue here, right? There is a hazard sign, which means that font is not there. If you double click there, you will see what the name of the font is. It is Birch STD. They say the following fonts are missing or text layer, for text layer Island Paradise. Font substitution will occur. Continue. What does that mean? It means my computer here I'm using right now does not have that font, Birch STD. So now the Photoshop is asking, what should I do now? Should I substitute that font with something that you already have, or just leave it as it is? Now I'm not editing my completed version, so I can say cancel. Or just to show you what will happen when I substitute, let's see. Okay, what happened? Oh, see, something else was applied, Island Paradise, and then D here, ISC is all gone out of screen. And what is the font it's using now? Myriad Pro Regular. It is substituted this font. I don't like that, so I can say okay, undo. Right? I can say edit, undo, edit type layer. Okay, so I'll leave it there. I'm not interested in any substitution. I'll try to figure out whether I can find a similar font as such. Right, so let me go to my version, which is here, and I type Island Paradise. So what is the color of the Island Paradise? Green color, isn't it? So I need to first make sure that I have green color here. And then I use the font tool here. And I mean, it's okay to type anywhere, but I prefer to type it on the top of everything. So let's go and type this. So I'll type Island Paradise. Right, now what's the font? Well, it also gave me the Myriad Pro. So fine, it's okay because it looks like that is my default font for this Photoshop installation. That doesn't look like what I want. So I can now play around with the font size. So it's 15. Let's see whether 18 is fine, not enough. 24. Okay, looks like 24 is okay. But if you notice, this font is very sort of a compressed font, isn't it? They don't look like what I have here. So maybe I'll try something that may look similar. So actually, this might not be the best tool to select a proper font. There are different applications where it allows you to select the right font. But I'm not switching there. Let me see whether I can select something from here. Probably this one, Rockwell Condensed. That looks like similar, I guess. Now notice there is space between I and the S and the L and the A. So in between, there is space, right? In between. So if you need to adjust all that, then there is a little icon here that is called the paragraph adjustments. So if you notice, there is interspace being changed. So now it's showing 24 or 250. If I say 0, I see they're all close to each other. Notice that? So if I say go to 200, now it's sort of spaced out. Now this is the character spacing we're working on. So if you want more space between the word, you can, but then that's not nice. So I'll leave this as it is, but let me increase the font size. So right now I'm on 24, so let's try 30. 30 is little too big, so let me try 28 maybe. Yeah, I think that's the size. Okay. Right, but it's not very clear because of the background and whatnot. So I should give it a outline as well as there's a black outline. Now there's no outline here. It's just the drop shadow. You see, there's no outline. Let me try the same thing here. So I'll go to effects, Let's say drop shadow. Looks like I had to give a thicker one and reduce the opacity, and then increase distance also. I need to bring it closer, something like this. Right, there you go. Okay, island paradise. Right, so looking back, does it look like this? Okay, we can't say 100% it looks like this, but yeah, it is okay. But do you notice there is a little border here? There's a border around the whole thing, but it's not a border as in, it's not a very sharp white border. You see, that itself is another gradient, isn't it? That is a gradient as well. So how do they do that? Right? How do you do that? Now that is through giving a border to the whole thing. So here's the border. See, well, that's the border. So let's see how we do that here. So in order to do that, I need again another layer. So I have a layer on top of everything. So I go back and say border to that. And what I do here is I need to give a soft border in this. Okay, it is going to be a soft border. So different ways of doing that. I'll show you an easy way. Okay, first the easiest one, right? So you use the paint bucket, use white, and just apply paint bucket to the whole thing. All right, now watch it carefully. Then you go to the rectangular selection tool. Let's say something like this, and select a little inside, and then go over the whole thing and select it like this. All right, you haven't selected the entire thing, but you selected what is inside here. Right. Okay, so you go to select menu here, and then there is something called modify. Inside that you see some more. Go to the last one, feather. Okay, in the feather box you have to type the feather amount you want. So where did that go? Okay, I lost it. Let me do it again. Looks like my Photoshop is stuck. Uh-oh. It is stuck. So everything I've done is now lost. Well, it's gone elsewhere. So here's the feather amount. So how much feather you want? Let's say 30 pixels feather. And then I say, okay, right? You don't see anything as such. Yeah, there's a little bit of border here, not, but okay. So now I just press the delete key. When I do that, you see, I have a very soft border around my whole thing. Right? Okay, it may be too much, but it sort of shows you the selection and the border that we apply. So I suppose we are done with this. So we got not one-to-one 100% similar, but we got the concept, and we got a very similar 99% similar output with all the elements out there. So coming back, what did we learn today? We learned how to enhance images using blending modes. We learn how to create something like sky on our own without bringing in a sky photograph. We learn arranging different elements in different places with opacity and things like that. We also learn how to drag in another photograph from somewhere else. Then we also learn how to apply gradient, then how to bring in text and try to match the text with the existing text. Okay, so that's what we learn today with this Photoshop tutorial. All right, so once you do this, please take a photograph of this whole Photoshop window and then the final one as well, because that is how you are going to upload your work. So for example, now you notice my layers are here. So if you don't want some other things, you can close this tab so that close tab group. Okay, so now you see all the layers here. Now I need a photograph or rather screenshot of this window, which shows all the different layers here, right? And then the final artwork as well. Now, of course, here you see the final artwork. So that's how you submit your assessments. Okay, so shall we now look at the family photograph correction? So I'm going to close this, but make sure you save it in a different word, different name, otherwise you will be overwriting the existing file. Right, so let's get the family photograph. Okay. Right, so we were talking about family photograph one having multiple shots. So there are two shots here. And we also notice the first shot, which is on the top, as darker a background. So we don't like this photograph as such now. I was asking whether these files are available to you through my Google Drive. Okay, if not, what I'll do is I'll have a link to the Google Drive where all these files are present in Moodle on the top of everything. Where attendance is, I'll have a common link there. So it's a shareable drive folder. So it has all the files that I'm showing here. Right. So coming back to the family photo. You notice we have two layers, right? We have layer 1 and layer 2. So you can turn off, turn on, and see they are different. So what we are going to do now is to, first of all, we need to align. You see the alignment is jumped here and there. And I would like to keep this photograph on the top, not the layer 1. I like layer 2 because of the background and all that. But then I need to align these two. So first I select both layers by shift and click. I use the shift key and then I click on both. Make sure both layers are selected. And then you go to edit. When you select both, right, now if you don't select all, you don't see it here, auto align layers. I want to go to auto align layers. I can't do that because they are not selected. So now I select both, then I go to edit, auto align layers. Basically what it does is Photoshop will use its own intelligence to figure out, okay, there are people or trees here, and they try to align them together so that one head is on top of the other head of the same person. Okay, or the tree in that case. One tree is on top of the other tree from another layer. So let's see how it goes. Right, so I need to select few options, but I'll go with the auto. Right, you see a bit of shifting happens here and there. There's some white here, there's some black here, there's some noise here and things like that. Okay, we can adjust all that, but let's see. All right, now when I click this, I notice the heads are all in one place, isn't it? They're all in one place. Now is the magic. So first I need to zoom in. So let's fix the uncle who is sleeping here. Try to wake him up. Right? Now what I do is I go to layer 2, which is on the top, and I'm going to use the eraser. Okay? the eraser, I need a soft actual eraser. I need a soft eraser, soft one. And we can increase the size up and down by the square bracket key, right? So I take about this much. So this is what I'm going to do. I am going to erase part of layer 2, right, using the soft brush. Why am I doing that? Because when I erase layer 2, I will see through that what is behind layer 2. In this case, we have layer 1. So when I erase layer 2, I will see layer 1 there. I'm not going to erase everything. I'm only erasing his eyes. Now see what happens. When I go and click erase, you see the eye is now open, right? Because I just erased it. So if you need some more from the face, yeah, you can do that. In fact, the face is different, so I need to do a bit of painting here and there and make sure that I get the whole face now from the layer underneath, right? Make sure the whole face is now selected. There you go. Man is awake now. How did I do that? By erasing the layer 2. Okay, so let's go down to the girls. Oh, so this girl is looking outside. So is this girl. So this is a bit too much in the zoom, so I will do this. Again, the eraser. And make sure you are on layer 2, right? And I might need a bigger eraser now. See what happens when I erase layer 2 now. Okay, there you go. You see, I see the layer, the other layer is coming through, isn't it? Right? If you notice, okay, maybe some things are not perfect. So like the hand, for example, go ahead, erase it and make sure it is perfect. I'm okay with this. And so this face as well. So when I erase, you see the other layer is coming through. Again, make sure everything is properly done. Otherwise, you will see a distorted face. All right, there you go. Okay, so if you zoom out, now you see a perfect family photograph where there is no no distortion. They're all looking straight at the camera. So the faces are done. Now we need to figure out what to do with this border business here. Okay, so well, it's pretty simple. We just need to crop it. So crop as to the minimum area you need. Now, for example, maybe this much, okay, cut this much, and that's it. Now, if you want to delete it, you can delete it. If you want to keep it, untick it. Now, I decided to keep it, so I just do a double click, and here we go. Perfect family photograph. They're all looking at the camera. Now, this is especially important when it comes to wedding photography or the party photography where children are involved, because it's very difficult to keep them focused and entertained. They'll be distracted when various other things. They'll be looking all over the place. And one thing you do when you're taking photographs in a situation like that, you use multiple bursts. You use burst photography, where when you press the button, it takes more than one shot very quickly, right? So that is what you do. So with that, when you bring it in, you can make the corrections. You notice the fact that we had 2 photographs only, we were able to do that. So how did we do that? Well, select both layers, go to edit and use auto align, and then make sure that you select what is on the top is what you're going to keep, and then use the eraser tool to erase through one layer so that you can see what is behind that layer. You don't need to erase a lot of things. Erase the minimum amount. So be careful, erase the minimum amount. So if you make a mistake, of course you can undo it and come back and do it again. Right, so we did 2 very interesting creations today, right? So we brought in a few things here and there. We made a nice photo, the postcard, and we also made a family. We also corrected the family photograph. Now, last week we talked about doing a homework uh, a card, right? So I hope you experimented with various things. Today I showed you one method where you bring in different elements, apply different things, and then making your own postcard. Any questions